Our movie starts with Catherine and her boyfriend Kevin returning from a night out. They are both drunk and not paying attention to the road. Catherine is driving the car at a very high speed and asks Kevin to engage in an intimate act with her while she drives, as a form of thrill. Due to their lack of focus, they have an accident, and the car plunges into the water. Catherine saves herself, but Kevin drowns and dies. Kevin was a famous football player, so his death becomes a major news story, sparking public interest. Catherine is investigated for Kevin's death, and Detective Roy is assigned to the case. He informs her that the blood tests revealed they were both on drugs, and the drug found in Kevin's system was purchased by Catherine from her friend Dickie. He warns her that she could go to jail for her reckless behavior, endangering others, and orders her to undergo a psychological evaluation. She meets Dr. Michael, who is responsible for her case, and he asks if they can have a session without her lawyer, to which she agrees. Michael questions her about her job, and she tells him she's a writer who loves to write about crimes, murder, sex, and violence. She needs a psychological evaluation because she wants to be released on bail, and the judge wants to ensure she's not a danger to others. When Michael asks her what she dislikes the most, she says she hates being ordered around, leading him to conclude that she dislikes anyone controlling her and loves taking risks. He tells her that she endangered her boyfriend's life to prove to herself that she's free and can do whatever she wants. During the session, he tells her that smoking is prohibited, but she lights a cigarette anyway, stating that he is just like her, someone who enjoys control over others. At her trial, Michael testifies that although Catherine is addicted to risk-taking and reckless behavior, she isn't a danger to society, only to herself. The session ends, and outside, Michael meets Adam, a journalist interested in Catherine's case. Michael refuses to discuss it with him, but Adam provokes him by mentioning the case of George, a patient of Michael's who murdered his pregnant girlfriend 7 years ago. It's clear that Michael is still affected by his failure to treat George and prevent the murder. Michael gets angry and questions how Adam learned about George. Adam replies that he got the information from Michael's ex-wife, Denise, who told him everything. Michael confronts Denise, accusing her of revealing details about George's case to Adam. He insists that he didn't mishandle George's treatment, but if the murder becomes widely known, it will threaten his reputation and career. He urges Denise to tell Adam that the case is long over. The next day at work, Detective Roy informs Michael that Catherine was acquitted of Kevin's death because the judge deemed Dickie an unreliable witness, leading to her acquittal. However, Roy is convinced that she'll commit another crime and plans to keep a close watch on her. The following day, Catherine shows up at Michael's office, wanting to talk about his testimony during her psychological evaluation. She tells him that she wants to be treated for her addiction to risk-taking, and that, as a writer, she once penned a story describing the accident in detail, admitting that she had secretly wished for it to happen. She believes that her addiction led to Kevin's death and seeks treatment. Michael refuses to treat her, saying he'll refer her to a colleague, because they've lost trust in each other due to what he said about her in court. It becomes evident that Catherine wanted Michael to treat her. She writes him a check for his time, but he reconsiders and agrees to hold another session to reach a solution that satisfies both of them. During the second session, Michael asks Catherine about the pleasure she gets from doing something dangerous during intimate moments, and she admits that she loves risk and often imagines creative ways to die because she's a writer who needs to come up with new ideas. She tries to light a cigarette again, but Michael stops her, insisting that she must follow his rules while in his office. Her tone shifts, and she begins talking about George, his former patient who killed his pregnant girlfriend, revealing that she learned about the case from Adam, the journalist who did an interview with George. Catherine tells Michael that although she knew George was dangerous, he defended him, which is why she trusts him and wants to be his patient. Michael agrees to treat her and begins reading all her violent and sexual novels to understand her better. Catherine reveals that Detective Roy once assaulted her and offered to smooth over her case if she would have sex with him. When she refused, he became determined to imprison her, but ultimately failed. Catherine abruptly ends the session, saying she wants a cigarette. Later, Michael attends a party with his colleague, Dr. Molina, where he hopes to meet Dr. Gast, his role model. However, he's surprised to find Gast accompanied by Catherine, which upsets him because he doesn't like interacting with his patients outside his office. He leaves the party to get his jacket, only to find Catherine waiting for him. She apologizes for abruptly leaving his office earlier and asks him to go out with her to talk, but he refuses, saying he strictly adheres to his rules and dislikes socializing with his patients. He asks her to leave and enjoy the rest of the party. Michael then meets his colleague, Michelle, and they go out together, ending up in bed. But he gets a call from Denise, who urgently asks him to come to Adam's house. When he arrives, he finds Adam hanging in his bedroom and notices Catherine's lighter on the floor. He reports the crime and hands over the lighter to Detective Roy. After being questioned, he's allowed to leave. Michael waits for Catherine to come for her session and tells her that Adam has been killed. He warns her that Roy will try to pin the murder on her and that even if she claims innocence, no one will believe her. Catherine lights a cigarette, and Michael angrily demands she put it out or leave his office. She leaves her pack of cigarettes and a new lighter on his desk, intentionally showing him that she has changed lighters, and tells him she's ending her treatment with him before leaving his office. Michael stays up all night outside his office. When he returns, he finds Roy waiting outside his house. Roy tells him that they discovered Catherine was Adam's new girlfriend and that her fingerprints were found at the crime scene. Despite this, Michael refuses to give Roy any information about his patient, maintaining his respect for patient confidentiality. Days pass and Michael tries to contact Catherine again, apologizing for what happened between them, but she doesn't respond. Michael becomes increasingly distracted with his patients, unable to think about anything but Catherine. When the time comes for his meeting with Dr. Gass to discuss his university promotion, Michael is distracted because Catherine is also present. Michael waits outside Gass's house, watching for Catherine, and follows her as she enters her home. He searches the house but can't find her, eventually discovering that she's been paying someone to engage in risky behavior with her. Michael returns home and confides in his colleague Melina, who tells him that Catherine has become a danger to him as a psychiatrist and that he must end her treatment immediately and forget about her. If Catherine wants treatment, she should be referred to Melina. Michael continues his work, but Roy doesn't leave him alone. He confronts Michael, saying that Denise claimed he lied about George's evaluation, which led to George's girlfriend's death. Michael confronts Denise, asking why she's lying, insisting that George's actions weren't his fault and that she's ruining his life and career. Denise responds by saying that Catherine was right about him, that she should have believed Catherine, and then leaves to meet her boyfriend. Michael follows her and sees her meeting someone who looks like Catherine, but they disappear. Later, Michael finds Denise dead and tries to save her, but is accused of attempting to kill her because witnesses say they saw them arguing shortly before the incident. Roy interrogates Michael, informing him that Denise is in a coma and that Michael is the prime suspect. Michael insists he's leaving the investigation because there's no evidence against him, and Roy lets him go. Michael goes to Catherine's house and finds her waiting for him, knowing he would come. He confronts her about her connection to Denise, and she tells him she needed Denise for research for her new novel, which is about him. She claims that she got a lot of useful information from Denise and knew Michael had changed toward her, which is why he came to her. Michael breaks his own rules, and they end up in bed together. When he wakes up, Michael notices a syringe in her refrigerator, takes it with him, and goes to see Roy. He tells Roy he suspects the substance in the syringe is the same drug that was in Kevin's system before he died, which prevented him from saving himself from drowning. Roy tells him that the substance will take over a day to analyze. As Michael leaves the meeting with Roy, he finds Henry, Catherine's lawyer, waiting for him, asking for a psychological evaluation of himself, knowing that Michael is very skilled at his jobs. Henry notices Roy leaving the same bar as Michael and warns him that Roy is a corrupt cop who was on the verge of being exposed by Adam before his death. Michael starts investigating Henry's claim and discovers that Adam was working on an article exposing a corrupt detective who tampered with evidence, but the investigation was never completed due to Adam's death. Michael contacts Peter, Adam's colleague, who confirms that Adam was about to expose Roy with solid evidence but was killed before he could do so. Michael goes back to Catherine to apologize for suspecting her, but she tells him she doesn't like people who steal from her houses, revealing that the substance he took was insulin, not the drug Michael suspected. Michael arrives home, unsure of whom to trust. Roy shows up and informs him that the substance found was indeed the drug present in Kevin's blood. He hands Michael a forensic lab report, but it's not an official one since the evidence was obtained informally. Roy then takes Michael to a new crime scene, which turns out to be the same house as Michael had previously observed. They find Dickie, Catherine's friend, hanged, and Roy tries to convince Michael to testify in court that Catherine poses a danger to society. Roy argues that unless Michael reveals where Catherine got the drug, the murders will continue. However, Michael refuses to speak, citing patient confidentiality and the lack of concrete evidence against Catherine. Roy then gives Michael a business card for a lieutenant in San Francisco named Phil, suggesting he contact him. Michael calls Phil and explains what has happened, learning that Catherine had been accused in a past murder case involving someone named Johnny and 2 others. He confronts Catherine with what he has learned, and she gives him a disc containing her new novel. She admits to killing Johnny as a challenge to see if she could get away with it, and she confesses to killing Adam because he was going to destroy Michael's life, and Denise because she was going to expose everything from Adam's investigation. Despite her confession, Michael doesn't believe her, knowing that she lies constantly. Catherine tells Michael that since he won't believe her anyway, there's no point in continuing their conversation, and suggests he wait until she kills her next victim, daring him to guess who it will be. Michael, enraged, tries to drown her, but she laughs at him, and he can't bring himself to kill her. He leaves her and returns home, smashing everything around him. He decides to read Catherine's new novel on the disc, and realizes that she has written about everything that happened, from Kevin's death to her next victim, who is revealed to be Dr. Melina, Michael's esteemed colleague. Realizing that Melina is the next target, Michael rushes to her houses and tries to contact her, then calls Detective Roy, asking him to meet him at Melina's houses. Michael reaches Melina and tells her what Catherine is planning, but Catherine has already contacted Melina and revealed everything that happened between them. Melina accuses Michael of violating the ethical code of his profession by having a relationship with a patient and attempting to attack and kill her.
Michael discovers Catherine is at Melina's house and tries to attack her again. Melina intervenes, but in the struggle, she hits a desk and falls unconscious.
Catherine threatens Michael with a gun, warning him not to come closer, but assures him she's not planning to kill him. She gives him the gun and reveals that before Adam died, he found out that George didn't kill his girlfriend. It was Roy, due to some business between them. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. It's Roy. Catherine asks Michael to hand her the gun so she can deal with Roy, who is determined to kill her, but Michael refuses and threatens her with the gun. Roy breaks down the door, and as soon as he enters, Michael shoots him, killing him. Michael is arrested while holding the gun and is seen pointing it at both Melina and Catherine. He realizes that Catherine has defeated him, manipulating him into doing exactly what she wanted. Michael is sent to a mental institution, confined to a wheelchair. Catherine visits him there, telling him that she changed the ending of her novel and that he gave her a better conclusion than she had originally written. She explains that her novel is about its author, with people dying around her as they try to find the killer, only to discover that the psychiatrist is the real murderer. The psychiatrist is the protagonist who killed Adam because he was a journalist who was going to destroy his life, killed Denise because she knew things no one else did, and killed Dickie out of jealousy. Yet no one suspected him. She thanks Michael for being the main inspiration for her novel and leaves victorious, having evaded all the murders she committed and won the challenge she set for herself.
If you've reached so far in our video, you're officially awesome. Thanks for sticking around with Chat Craze. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to leave a nice comment. Until next time.